You didn't lose everything by accident. You asked for clarity, and what came next didn't look like answers, it looked like destruction. You thought clarity would feel like peace, like a gentle whisper guiding you forward, like doors opening effortlessly in your favor, but instead what you experienced felt like doors slamming shut, people disappearing without explanation, plans collapsing without warning, and suddenly you were standing in the middle of your life wondering how everything you once held onto so tightly could vanish so quickly. And the most confusing part was that you were the one who prayed for it, you were the one who said, "God, show me the truth," and when the truth began to unfold, it didn't come wrapped in comfort, it came wrapped in loss, in silence, in endings that didn't make sense at the time, and now you're questioning whether you did something wrong, whether you asked the wrong question, whether clarity was supposed to hurt this much. But what you didn't realize is that clarity is not about adding more into your life. It's about removing everything that was never aligned with your truth in the first place, and sometimes the only way God can answer your prayer is by taking away the very things you thought you needed, because those things were the source of your confusion all along, and the reason it feels so painful is because you were emotionally invested in illusions that felt real, you trusted people who were never meant to stay, you built plans on foundations that were never stable, and when God steps in to bring clarity, He doesn't negotiate with illusions, He eliminates them completely. Without warning, without apology, because partial truth is still deception, and you didn't ask for comfort, you asked for truth, and truth has a cost that most people are not prepared to pay, because it requires you to let go of everything that isn't real, even if it once felt right, even if it once made you happy, even if you begged for it to stay. And that's why this moment in your life feels so heavy, because you are standing in the aftermath of divine clarity, and it doesn't look like clarity. Yet, it looks like emptiness, it looks like loss, it looks like starting over when you thought you were finally moving forward, but what you're actually experiencing is the clearing process, the part no one talks about, the part where everything that was blocking your vision gets removed, and suddenly you can see things as they truly are, not as you wanted them to be, not as you imagined them to be, but as they actually are. And that realization can break you if you're not ready for it, because it forces you to confront the truth you were unconsciously avoiding, the truth that some people were never meant to walk your entire journey, the truth that some opportunities were distractions disguised as blessings, the truth that some versions of your life were never meant to happen no matter how much you wanted them to, and now that they're gone, it feels like something was taken from you, but in reality something was revealed to you. And there's a difference between loss and revelation, but when you're in the middle of it, it feels exactly the same. It feels like grief, it feels like confusion, it feels like questioning everything you believed in, even your faith, because you're trying to understand why God would remove something you prayed so hard for, why He would allow something to enter your life only to take it away later, and the answer is not as simple as you want it to be. Because sometimes God allows things to enter your life not because they are meant to stay, but because they are meant to reveal something, to expose something, to teach you something that you wouldn't have understood any other way, and once that purpose is fulfilled, there is no reason for it to remain, even if your heart hasn't caught up to that truth yet, even if your emotions are still attached, even if you're still trying to make sense of it, and that's where the struggle begins. Because your mind is trying to hold on to something that your spirit has already outgrown, and the more you resist the removal, the more painful it becomes, because you are trying to rebuild something that God is intentionally dismantling, and that's not because He's against you, it's because He's protecting you from a future that was never meant for you, a future that would have kept you stuck, confused, and disconnected from your true path. And clarity requires separation. Clarity requires distance. Clarity requires you to step away from everything that is clouding your judgment, even if that means walking through a season of loneliness, a season where nothing makes sense, a season where you feel like you've lost direction, because in that silence, in that emptiness, in that space where everything has been stripped away, that's where real clarity begins to form, not in the noise, not in the distractions, not in the comfort of familiar things, but in the absence of everything that wants to find you. And that's the part that no one prepares you for, the part where you don't recognize your own life anymore, where you don't recognize the people around you, where you don't even recognize yourself, because the version of you that existed before was built around things that are no longer there, and now you're being forced to rediscover who you are without them, and that process can feel like you're losing yourself when in reality you are finally finding yourself. But it doesn't feel like that in the moment. It feels like everything is falling apart, it feels like nothing is working, it feels like you're being punished for asking for clarity, but what's actually happening is that you are being realigned, piece by piece, layer by layer. Everything false is being removed so that only truth remains, and truth doesn't always feel good, truth can be uncomfortable, truth can be painful, truth can shatter the illusions you spent years building. But truth is also the only foundation that can support the life you are meant to live. And without this process, you would continue building on lies, on half-truths, on things that were never meant to last, and eventually it would all collapse anyway. But this time it wouldn't just be painful, it would be devastating, because you would have invested even more time, even more energy, even more of yourself into something that was never right for you. So what feels like destruction right now is actually prevention. What feels like loss is actually protection. What feels like emptiness is actually space being created for something real to enter your life. But you can't see that yet because you're still focused on what's gone instead of what's being prepared. And that's the shift you need to make. Not immediately, not overnight, but gradually, as you begin to understand that clarity is not about getting what you want, it's about seeing what is true, and sometimes what is true is that certain things were never meant for you no matter how badly you wanted them, and accepting that truth is one of the hardest things you will ever have to do, because it requires you to let go without closure, to move on without answers, to trust without evidence, and that's where faith becomes real, not when everything is going your way, not when everything makes sense, but when everything has been stripped away and you still choose to believe that there is a purpose behind it, that there is a reason for the removal, that there is something greater being prepared even if you can't see it yet. And that belief is what will carry you through this season, not the hope that things will go back to how they were, but the understanding that they were never meant to stay that way. And once you accept that, once you stop trying to rebuild what was removed, once you stop chasing what was taken away, that's when everything begins to shift. That's when clarity truly settles in, not as a sudden realization, but as a quiet knowing, a deep understanding that what left your life was not a mistake, it was an answer, and the more you align yourself with that truth, the lighter you will feel, the more direction you will gain, the more peace you will experience, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is real, and real is always better than perfect, because real can grow, real can last, real can support the life you are meant to live. And that's what this process is preparing you for, not a life built on illusions, but a life built on truth. And even though the journey to get there is painful, confusing, and at times overwhelming, it is also necessary, because without it you would never become the person you are meant to be, the person who doesn't just seek clarity, but understands it, lives it, and trusts it even when it comes in the form of loss. You are standing at the crossroads of what was and what will be. And it feels like the weight of everything lost is crushing you, but that weight is not meant to break you, it is meant to make you stronger, because when God removes what is not aligned with your path, He is forcing you to recalibrate, to evaluate what really matters, to strip away the superficial layers of desire and expectation that have been guiding you instead of your true self, and in that emptiness, in that silence, you begin to hear the faint whispers of your own intuition. The voice you have been drowning out with distractions, with people's opinions, with your own fear of stepping into the unknown, and it is in that quiet that clarity starts to take root, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, but unmistakably, because the removal of the wrong people, the wrong jobs, the wrong relationships, the wrong opportunities creates a space for truth to enter, and that truth is simple, yet profound. You cannot move forward while holding on to what is not yours. And everything that has been taken away is not punishment, it is preparation, it is clearing the debris so you can see the path ahead without obstruction. And while your heart aches for what once was, your spirit knows that what remains is what will truly serve you, what will elevate you, what will align you with the life you were meant to live, and the struggle you feel is proof that you are growing, because growth always requires discomfort, growth always requires the death of the old to make room for the new. And this season of removal is teaching you endurance, resilience, patience, and faith, because clarity does not come as a gift, it comes as a process, and the process is often brutal. It strips away comfort, familiarity, and certainty, and it leaves you with only the raw essence of who you are, but that rawness is a blessing in disguise, because it is the unfiltered version of yourself that is capable of seeing life as it truly is, without masks, without illusions, without the lies you told yourself to feel safe. And when you embrace that rawness, when you accept that the loss you are experiencing is part of divine alignment, you start to notice subtle shifts, like doors quietly opening that you didn't even see coming, like people entering your life who resonate with your soul rather than your ego, like opportunities presenting themselves that feel natural and effortless instead of forced and draining, and you realize that the removal was not random, it was intentional, it was precise. It was perfect, and the clarity you prayed for was never about accumulation, it was about purification, because you cannot receive what is meant for you until what is not meant for you is gone, and that realization brings a kind of peace that is quiet, understated, yet powerful, because it is grounded in truth, not wishful thinking, not temporary comfort, but truth. And as you move forward, the lessons become clearer. Let go faster, trust sooner. Stop clinging to the familiar that no longer serves you, and start recognizing the signs of alignment, the subtle nudges, the synchronicities, the people and moments that feel like home to your soul, because those are the indicators that God has not abandoned you, that He is still guiding you, still answering your prayer for clarity, only now in a way that reshapes your life rather than maintaining it in stagnation. And the more you internalize this, the lighter you feel, the freer you become, the more empowered you are to create a life built on purpose rather than comfort, on truth rather than illusion, and though the journey is far from over, you begin to trust that every removal, every ending, every sudden void in your life was not rejection but preparation, not loss but revelation, and that is the essence of divine clarity. It strips away everything that blinds you so you can finally see the life that is waiting for you, and once you fully embrace this, you will never fear loss again. Because you will understand that what leaves your life was never yours to begin with, and what remains is precisely what you need to step into your destiny. And now, as you stand in this new space, in the wake of what has been removed, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The emptiness that once terrified you now feels like possibility, because when God clears away the wrong connections, the wrong circumstances, and the wrong attachments, He is not leaving you abandoned, He is leaving you available, open, ready to receive what is truly aligned with your life, and this is the subtle genius of divine clarity. What feels like chaos, what feels like loss, what feels like a void is actually preparation for a level of growth and awakening that could never happen while you clung to the old, while you held on to what was comfortable but false, while you resisted change because change always requires risk, always requires courage, always requires a willingness to surrender, and surrender is the key to clarity, because only when you stop forcing outcomes, only when you stop clinging to certainty, only when you allow yourself to be fully present with what is unfolding can you truly begin to see the patterns, the lessons, the guidance that were always there but were hidden by your attachment to what was not real, and in that surrender, a new rhythm emerges, a rhythm of trust, a rhythm of faith, a rhythm of knowing that even if everything around you seems uncertain, even if the people you counted on have gone, even if the plans you believed in have collapsed, the one constant that remains is the divine intelligence orchestrating everything with precision, with timing, and with intention, and as this understanding settles into your consciousness, you start to recognize the subtle ways in which life is guiding you toward alignment, a conversation that suddenly makes sense, a door that unexpectedly opens, a feeling of peace that washes over you when you release what you cannot control. And these are the markers of clarity in action, not as dramatic revelations, but as quiet confirmations that you are on the right path, that even in removal, even in loss, even in what feels like failure, God is still answering your prayer, still showing you the way, still shaping your perspective, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the fear that once paralyzed you begins to diminish, replaced by curiosity, by openness, by a growing confidence in your ability to navigate life with discernment, because clarity is not just about seeing the truth of what is removed, it is about recognizing the truth of yourself, your resilience, your power, your capacity to adapt, to learn, to grow, to trust again even after disappointment, even after betrayal, even after things fell apart, and this is the transformative moment, when you realize that what was taken from you was never a reflection of your worth, never a punishment, never a failure, but a catalyst for awakening, a challenge designed to elevate you, a test of faith meant to deepen your understanding of life's greater design, and with this realization, your perspective shifts, you stop lamenting what is gone and start noticing what is present, what is real, what aligns with your soul, and as you continue to walk this path, the people who remain, the opportunities that appear, the doors that open, all carry a sense of inevitability, because they are meant for you, because they resonate with your frequency, because they are part of the life that was always intended for you, and that is the hidden blessing of divine removal. It is never about deprivation, it is always about revelation, it is never about punishment, it is always about preparation, it is never random, it is always intentional, and once you embrace this truth fully, you move forward not with fear, not with resentment, not with confusion, but with clarity, with purpose, with vision. With the quiet knowing that even in the midst of endings, even in the midst of uncertainty, even in the midst of the unknown, God's plan is unfolding, and everything that has left your life is making space for everything that is meant to stay, everything that is meant to elevate, everything that is meant to define the next chapter of your life, and in that awareness, the heaviness begins to lift, the fog begins to clear, and the silence that once terrified you now feels like sacred space, a canvas upon which the next phase of your destiny will be painted. Not by chance, not by accident, but by divine orchestration, and that is the ultimate clarity, to see that loss is not empty, that removal is not random, that endings are not failures, but that each moment of removal carries the blueprint of your awakening, the architecture of your growth, and the preparation for a life that is aligned, authentic, and anchored in truth. And when you finally grasp this, the fear of losing everything transforms into the excitement of gaining everything that truly matters. And as you move further into this season of removal, you begin to understand that clarity is not just about what leaves your life, but about how you respond to what remains, because the divine act of clearing away what was never meant for you is only effective if you choose to embrace the space that has been created rather than filling it with fear, doubt, or attachment to the past. And this is where many people stumble. They mourn what is gone, they resent the loss, they question their worth. They fail to see that what remains is not empty, it is opportunity. It is alignment, it is the fertile soil in which your next chapter can grow, and the truth is that God's removal is never arbitrary, it is always purposeful, it always carries a lesson, a message, a revelation that your soul needs in order to awaken to a higher understanding of life, and once you begin to see this, the heaviness transforms into empowerment, because you realize that you are not powerless in this process. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are a participant in a divine plan that is unfolding with precision and intention, and your role is to trust, to surrender, and to step forward into the unknown with courage, because clarity asks you to let go of control, to release the illusion that you could have orchestrated your life perfectly, and to recognize that some of the most profound growth, the most transformative breakthroughs, the most significant awakenings, occur precisely when everything you thought you needed is removed, and that is why the emptiness feels so intense, because it is the weight of potential, the pressure of transformation, the necessary discomfort before expansion, and as you move through it, you start noticing subtle patterns, the way synchronicities appear, the way people who are aligned with your path show up effortlessly, the way doors you didn't even know existed begin to open, and in these moments, the truth of divine clarity becomes undeniable. Removal is never rejection, loss is never punishment, endings are never mistakes, and the voids in your life are never empty, they are invitations to awaken, to evolve, to see beyond what is temporary and superficial, to recognize what is eternal and authentic, and this is the turning point, the moment where you begin to step out of victimhood and into stewardship of your own life. Because clarity requires responsibility. It asks you to honor what has been revealed, to make decisions based on truth rather than fear, to pursue opportunities that resonate with your soul rather than Settle for what feels safe, and when you do this, the universe responds, doors open, relationships deepen, opportunities expand, and your sense of purpose becomes undeniable, because every removal, every closure, every sudden loss was never meant to keep you down, it was meant to elevate you, to refine your understanding, to prepare you for the next level of alignment, and once you grasp this, once you internalize this, you begin to experience a profound shift. The chaos no longer terrifies you, the silence no longer confuses you, the endings no longer hurt in the same way, because you know that each of them was a divine message, a signpost, a necessary part of the journey toward the life that was always intended for you, and in that knowing, your perspective changes, your heart softens, your mind clears, and you start moving forward with an unshakable sense of confidence and trust, not because life has suddenly become easier, but because you have become wiser, more discerning, and more aligned with the truth of your path, and that is the ultimate gift of divine clarity, to strip away everything that obscures your vision, to remove everything that does not serve your higher purpose, and to leave you standing fully present, fully aware, fully capable of stepping into the next chapter of your life with courage, faith, and unshakable trust that what remains is exactly what you need, exactly what you are meant to experience, and exactly what will elevate you to your destiny.